Hello YouTube and welcome back to GrunfWorks Plays Naval Action, and in today's ships episode we will be taking a look at the Endymion. And sorry if the video quality is a little bit different than what you might be used to. I was using the NVIDIA's shadow play to try and record this one, mainly because of the driver issues that I have been having recently with Naval Action, which you have probably seen in my previous video, which causes me the loss of the Christian, along with some poor tactics from yours truly, but also with the crash that followed mid-fight. So I wasn't sure if it was caused by the driver or the Naval Action or the OBS that I'm using as a recording tool, so I just figured to try something different. Note that during the recording I also had a lot of issues when it comes to the graphics, but I hope that they won't stop you from enjoying this fight and some historical and interesting facts on the Endymion, which I must say, a little that I have played with it, it's a beast of the ship. So let's talk a little bit about the history. We are talking about the HMS Endymion from the 1797. Originally it was a 4th gun 5th rate that served in the French Revolutionary Wars, the Napoleonic Wars and the War of 1812 during the First Opium War. She was built to the lines of the French prize Promote, captured in 1794. Due to her exceptional handling and sailing properties, the Severn-class frigates were built to her lines, although the gun ports were rearranged to mount an extra power of guns per side. The ships were made of softwood and were not built until nearly the end of the Napoleonic Wars. She was famous for her battle with the USS President on the 15th of January 1815, in which she caught the American frigate and crippled her, which led to the President's final capture some hours later. Apart from this, the Endymion was known as the fastest sailing ship in the Royal Navy during the Age of Sail, logging 14.4 knots. That's, guys, it's 26 kilometers an hour sailing large and nearly 11 knots sailing close haul. So that's really impressive. Endymion's last active duty came from during the First Opium War and included operations on the Yangtze River. She became a receiving ship in 1859 and was broken up in June 1868. Throughout her career, Endymion was praised for her remarkable sailing qualities. She therefore was a highly desirable command for frigate captains. Even in the 1830s, long after her war service, she was regarded as the benchmark for the Royal Navy frigates. She was still capable of outsailing much newer ships with which she sailed in company. That's really an impressive feat considering the HMS Endymion. On the page, on the wiki page, and both on the Naval Action Wiki page, there's a lot of history, so I cannot go through everything, but I'm gonna just talk about a little bit the most famous, her engagement with the USS President. So, on the 14th January 1815, the USS President, under the command of Commodore Stephen Decatur, left New York for a mission in the Indian Ocean. She then fell with the British blockading squadron consisting of Razi Majestic, 56 guns, and the frigates Endymion, Pomone, and Tenedos. Immediately the British squadron gave chase to the Majestic leading. At noon, Endymion, being the much better sailed, overhauled her squadron and left them behind. At 2 p.m. she gained on the President and took position on the American ship's quarter, shooting into the President as she tried to escape. Endymion was able to rake the President 3 times and did considerable damage to her by contrast. The President primarily directed her fire at Endymion's rigging in order to slow her down. Finally, at 7:58 p.m., the President ceased fire and hoisted a light in her rigging, indicating that she had struck. Endymion's foresails has been damaged in the engagement, and she moved for repairs to the rigging, being unable to take possession of her prize due to the lack of boats that would swim. Whilst Endymion was engaged in the repairs, Commodore Stephen Decatur took advantage of the fact and, despite having struck, made off to escape at 8:30. Endymion, still engaged in the repairs, could not immediately pursue and resumed the chase at 8:52 p.m. At 9:05, Pomone and Tenedos came up with a heavily damaged President. Unaware that the enemy had already struck, Pomone fired 2 broadsides into the President, following with a Decatur again, struck his ship and hailed to the British, saying that he had surrendered. Shortly afterwards, Captain Loomy of the Pomone took possession of the President. According to the British accounts, President has lost 35 men and killed 70 wounded, including Decatur. American sources give their losses 24 killed and 55 wounded. Endymion had 11 killed and 14 wounded. In 1847, the Admiralty authorized the issue to any still surviving crew from Endymion the Naval General Service Medal with a class, Endymion VH President. There has been a long-running debate over whether Endymion had beaten the President or President had beaten Endymion. Clearly, President could not fight a normal duel such as which USS Constitution fought with Java. Had Decatur tried to fight Endymion broadside to broadside, he would have had little chance of escaping the other British ships. His only hope was to get rid of Endymion by dismantling her rigging, and in this he failed, striking to Endymion before she could be accomplished. A fact confirmed by Mr. Bowie, ship's chaplain of the President, who confirmed the raising of the light indicating surrender to Endymion. On the other hand, Endymion, as the smaller and weaker ship, see below, managed to slow her down and damage American frigate, pouring in 3 raking broadsides that caused heavy casualties and forcing her to strike. Endymion has successfully disabled 6 guns on the President's starboard side by shooting them off their carriages and damaging gun barrels. As a total of 10 of the 15 starboard upper deck gun ports of the President were hit and the gun crew reduced. It was recorded that shot that Endymion had pierced the President below the waterline and 6 feet of water was poured in the President's hold when Pomone boarded her. Shot from the Endymion was never found inside the President's magazine. However, it is also asserted that far from surrendering from Endymion, President had actually disabled Endymion and removed her from the pursuit. Instead, President was only forced to surrender when Pomone and Tenedos came up. This uncertainty of earlier date and is reflected in Commodore Decatur's own recorded comments. Decatur made a deposition before the British Admiralty Court of St. George, Bermuda in January 1815. In this recorded that when Pomone's boats boarded President, Decatur insisted that his sword would be sent to the captain of the black ship, which was Endymion, as he had struck to her alone. However, later in his dispatch, primarily for American consumption, he contradicted that statement. There has also been much discussion about how many American casualties were due to Pomone's broadsides. Before Pomone fired her first broadsides, President has already shattered with shot of holes from the starboard side to the side Endymion has engaged. Pomone has engaged the port side and there was only little damage recorded. See the external links for 2 descriptions to the right. I mean, you can actually see. Comparison of force. Length of the gun deck between Endymion was 48 meters, while President 52 meters. Tonnage, US President was 1533 tons, while Endymion was 1277. Complement of the HMS Endymion was 346 men, while USS President had at least 450 men. Armament of the Endymion was 26 24-pounders, 20 32-pounder carronades, and 1 18-pounder, while USS President had 32 24-pounders, 20 42-pounder carronades, and 1 24-pounder howitzer. So with a broadside weight of 641 pounds or 291 kilograms for Endymion and 370 kilograms for the USS President. So as you can see, by let's say a fifth, USS President was stronger than the Endymion. However, the Endymion was more agile and faster. Now we come to the Endymion in the naval action, and some of the information about the historical Endymion still hold true to the Endymion in game. She is, well, first of all, black ship, beautiful ship. She has 48 guns to which she can hold the 24-pounders on her weather deck and the 32-pounders on her gun deck, followed by the 32-pounder carronades. Oh, sorry, not 32-pounder on her weather deck. I made a mistake. Yeah, 9-pounders on top and 24-pounders on the bottom, or 32-pounder carronades on both decks. And that gives her a broadside weight of 426 roughly, but when packing up carronades she has a monstrous broadside of 768, and she is rivaled in that only by the Trincomalee, which outguns her, but has 32-pounder carronades as well, and the indefatigable as the Razzie, who has fewer cannons but packs a bigger carronade sponge. The reason why I'm mentioning the carronades is because that's the setup I'm using here. I'm using top and bottom deck, well, weather and the gun deck carronades, and I can tell you she's a beast. Literally a beast. I was able to tear through these smaller ships like it's nothing, and due to the Endymion's sailing qualities I was able to actually maneuver quite well given the situation. So for example, now if you just observe while we turn, set up, and hopefully for a whole broadside into, look at that armor drop. Although I must say my shot did... Oh, that rigging... Ah, that's terrible. I hate my drivers. Yeah. Sadly, I understand it's a driver issue, but as I said in the previous video, I have a Metra Exodus, which is the reason why I'm keeping the new driver, because of the ray tracing on my RTX. And I hope that this issue gets resolved either with the new release of the driver or something, or by the devs of the game. So devs, if you're watching this, please, by any chance, fix this flickering. That would be really nice. Right. So, let's just see a little bit more facts that I have on Endymion. Let me just check. Well, most of the data I'm compiling from my Excel comparison sheet. Some of the data is from Naval Action Wiki, some of it is actually even antiquated, but still. Yeah, she is lightning fast, as we said, almost as the Lynx. Decent armament, 24-pounder cannons and 32-pounder carronades. She has a very light top gun deck cannons, so 9-pounders, which is definitely not the best. Like even the, for example, frigate, Essex, and the others already pack 12-pounders on the top deck. While on the bottom deck she is actually quite beefy. So I must say, when it comes to maneuverability, I'm enjoying Endymion. When it comes to armament and armor plating, I would still choose Indefatigable over Endymion. However, I must say Endymion is actually a very fun frigate to sail. She maneuvers great, she is a joy to fight in, and when correctly hit, she really packs a punch. As you can tell here, I was able to finish off this guy in a single broadside. I mean, that's just gold. Okay, given the fact that I'm sailing the 5th raid and this is clearly the 6th raid that I'm fighting, it's a brig. The purpose of this video was not to show you a tough battle, but it was more like to show you off the ship. So I typically choose lighter battles just to, you know, not have to worry about the fighting, but more show her how she performs, how she turns, and all that jazz. Well, seems like, guys, we are getting towards the end of the fight, as this second guy is about to go to the Davy Jones's locker. So please, if you have any tips on how to prevent this flicker, and I've tried, like I said, I've tried the anti-aliasing and all other things, but not rolling back the driver. please let me know in the comments below. It will be really appreciated. And well, I hope to see you again in the next episode. And there goes the mast. So once again, guys, if you like the video, please do be leaving a like, leave a share, put your comments, and connect with me on other social media, and I will see you all in the next